Observe the posture of the modern world, and you will see a persistent hum of tension. Many people move through their days restricted by a constant sense of limitation and a chronic underlying anxiety. While we often treat this distress as a mental or emotional failure, research into the body's trauma response points to a more structural, physical cause. In the early 20th century, psychoanalyst Wilhelm Reich observed that emotional trauma leaves a tangible record in the body, manifesting as specific, localized patterns of chronic tension. Reich identified this as muscular armoring. When faced with pain or fear, the body's biological reflex is to contract, constructing a rigid physical wall to shield the individual from the intensity of the negative emotion. This defense mechanism immediately alters the breath. To minimize feeling, we involuntarily lock the diaphragm, which reduces natural, deep respiration to shallow, restricted gasps. This physical retreat creates an internal environment where the body remains trapped in a state of continuous alarm, perpetually reacting to a trauma that is now held within the muscle itself. The mechanical cost of a locked diaphragm is significant. A paralyzed chest cavity exerts chronic downward pressure directly onto the solar plexus and the autonomic nervous system. Reich's energetic model, shown here, illustrates this conflict. Biological energy naturally seeks to expand outward toward the world, but the surface tension of the muscular armor forces that energy back inward, creating intense internal pressure. This compression at the solar plexus keeps lower-level reactive emotions, such as fear and anger, circulating within the body, constantly informing the brain that it is still in a state of emergency. Reich's findings suggest that as long as this abdominal tension persists, the nervous system lacks the physiological baseline required to sustain a state of deep psychological stillness. Releasing this armor begins with a direct physical intervention, deliberate deep abdominal breathing, and a steady focus on complete exhalation. When the diaphragm is allowed to expand downward again, it physically lifts the chronic mechanical weight off the solar plexus. This change in internal pressure informs the central nervous system that the environment is stable, allowing the body to step down from its defensive posture. We can track the brain's response to this physical surrender. Goswami's research demonstrates that these physiological shifts directly dictate the frequency of our brainwaves. As the body relaxes, chaotic, high-frequency beta waves drop away, replaced by low-frequency alpha waves of relaxed receptivity. Experienced meditators maintain this alpha state even when faced with sudden external stimulus, absorbing disruption without reverting to a stress response. This relaxed physiological state provides the necessary foundation for the next stage of development. Only when the body is unarmored can the mind be effectively observed. Once the body is quiet, it becomes possible to practice cognitive detachment, a method explored extensively in the teachings of Osho. Meditation, in this context, is not the act of concentrating on a mantra. It is the passive act of separating one's awareness from the activity of the mind entirely. The technique involves becoming a witness. You observe your thoughts as they arise and pass, like clouds across a sky, without judgment, repression, or personal involvement. Most emotional distress occurs because we identify with the specific content of our thoughts, treating every passing worry as an absolute truth. By letting this content pass unexamined, our mental associations shrink. Without the fuel of our attention, the emotional grip of the thought simply dissolves. Just as you are not the light you are looking at, you are not the thoughts you perceive. You are the silent observer watching the mind operate. When the physical armor drops and the train of repetitive thought finally stops, a significant question remains. Who is the one watching this silence? Carl Jung described this threshold as the moment the ego strips away its purposive aims and its many illusions. Jung identified a psychic nucleus, a true inner center that begins to function only once the noise and chaos of the ego have been silenced. This aligns with Joel S. Goldsmith's description of the kingdom of God within, a presence that is found entirely through an internal rather than external search. This internal center provides a consistent wellspring of peace that remains unaffected by external circumstances or the discord of the world. At this point, the concept of inner peace is no longer an intellectual theory discussed in the mind. It is an orientation felt throughout the entire being. This perspective reveals the anxiety of the human experience is like a passing storm, and the observer is the vast, clear sky remaining behind it.